Like, if you go back to the sophistication of ancient Egypt and you think about what the civilization could have been like, I mean, you're just speculating, you're just trying to just imagine how they could have moved these 500-ton stone blocks 500 miles. You're putting all these things into your mind, and then say, how long does it take to get from that, if you knock back into barbarians, how long does it take to get from that to where we are now? This level of sophistication that allows you to get to the pyramids, and then we're nowhere near that now. So even on the most conservative speculation that the Great Pyramid is only 4,500 years ago, we're not even anywhere near that now.
In the ancient city of Luxor, hidden within its majestic temple walls, lies a mystery that challenges modern understanding of ancient Egypt's science and philosophy. Egyptologist Shwala de Lubitsch, after 12 years of detailed study of the Temple of Luxor, proposed that the ancient Egyptians held a sophisticated and immutable knowledge, fully developed from the earliest dynasties. This knowledge, according to de Lubitsch, far surpassed that of other civilizations at the time, hinting at a deeper understanding of the universe. De Lubitsch's research into the temple's intricate carvings and architectural design led him to a remarkable discovery, which he called transparency in the stone blocks. While copying temple plans and examining wall carvings, he noticed tiny embedded stones in larger blocks, which had been previously dismissed as errors. De Lubitsch proposed that these stones were markers placed by the master builders for precise measurements. This realization spurred adjustments in his own measurements, leading to even more astonishing findings. He observed that carvings on opposite sides of some walls seemed to align in impossible ways, as if the stone between them was transparent, allowing the design to flow through. This phenomenon, which de Lubitsch likened to a see-through banknote, suggested a level of craftsmanship and intentionality that defied conventional understanding of ancient architecture. The temple's carvings could only be fully appreciated when viewed as a continuous design, transcending the physical stone. One striking example of this transparency is between Room 12 and Room 5 in the Temple of Luxor. A stone block separating these rooms features carvings that seem to project through the stone itself. In Room 12, a hieroglyph for cloth is carved, while in Room 5, a box for cloths appears. The two images fitting together as if the stone was transparent. The technical precision needed to achieve this effect raises profound questions about the knowledge and skills of the ancient builders. De Lubitsch's discoveries extended beyond transparency. He also identified transposition, where symbols and carvings were arranged across different parts of the temple to create multi-dimensional connections. For instance, Montu's solar disk in Room 2 is projected into the shrine of Amun-Ra's boat in Room 6. The boat's content is hidden, requiring the observer to explore multiple spaces to understand the intended meaning. These techniques suggest a level of philosophical and scientific depth in ancient Egyptian culture that modern Egyptology had long overlooked. De Lubitsch argued that the Egyptians weren't just concealing knowledge in their architecture, but were presenting a more profound, spatial form of understanding. By dividing concepts across different parts of the temple, the Egyptians created an environment where knowledge was experienced holistically, rather than as isolated facts or images. In his groundbreaking work on the Temple of Luxor, de Lubitsch revealed an entirely new architectural grammar. This grammar, found in the block's shapes, joints, and symbolic overlays, turned the Egyptian temple into a living library of knowledge, accessible only through deep study. His discoveries redefined how scholars approached ancient Egyptian architecture, leading to a re-evaluation of the intellectual achievements of this ancient civilization. The most revolutionary aspect of de Lubitsch's work was the realization that the meaning of inscriptions and symbols on one wall couldn't be fully understood without considering their relationships to the carvings around them. This interconnectivity suggested a three-dimensional approach to knowledge that engaged the observer on multiple levels. For de Lubitsch, The true purpose of transparency and transposition was not only to complete an idea, but to clarify it in a way that transcended traditional communication methods. As we explore the mysteries of the Temple of Luxor, it becomes clear that the ancient Egyptians had a unique understanding of art and science. Their use of transparency and transposition reflected a worldview that connected the physical and metaphysical, the material and immaterial. Transparency, in particular, hinted at a belief that solid matter was deceptive, with light, or knowledge itself, as the true fundamental reality. De Lubitsch's discoveries at the Temple of Luxor did more than challenge traditional views of Egyptian architecture. They opened the door to a new understanding of how the Egyptians viewed the world. Through transparency and transposition, De Lubitsch uncovered a sophisticated system of thought that extended beyond the temple. He believed that this system could be found in other artifacts, such as papyri, which contained multi-layered meanings to be understood holistically. Transparency, for example, was more than an architectural technique. It represented a deeper philosophical belief. By prioritizing light over solid matter, the Egyptians expressed a worldview that saw physical reality as secondary to the metaphysical. De Lubitsch suggested that this belief in the primacy of light explains why transparency was central to the Temple of Luxor's design. The stone blocks weren't just barriers, but conduits for knowledge and understanding. Transposition added yet another dimension to this philosophy, emphasizing the importance of seeing beyond the surface. To understand the temple fully, one had to move through it, experiencing the connections between different spaces and symbols. This design reflected an understanding of spatial awareness and perception that resonates with modern psychological theories, such as Gestalt. Gestalt psychology, which emerged in the early 20th century, focuses on the idea that the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Human perception organizes individual elements into a unified whole, rather than analyzing each part in isolation. De Lubitsch's work mirrors this idea, as he argued that the carvings and inscriptions in the temple were part of a larger, interconnected system. Just as Gestalt theory emphasizes the importance of perceiving the overall form, De Lubitsch focused on perceiving the entire meaning of the temple. De Lubitsch's discoveries lead to profound questions. Who were the true sources of this knowledge? Were the Egyptians responsible for developing these advanced ideas, or were they inheritors of wisdom passed down from an even older civilization? And what can these ancient ideas teach us about the nature of reality? By connecting ancient Egyptian concepts with modern scientific theories, we uncover new insights into the mysteries of the past, and the possibility that the answers to our most profound questions may lie not in the future, but in the distant past.
In many ways, it was the mystery of the Sphinx that really broke everything open, brought everything to the public attention.
Now, what we're talking about for the people that are uninformed is the idea that some of the structures in ancient Egypt are far older than conventional wisdom or conventional modern-day archaeology, modern-day Egyptologists. They would like us to believe that all of this spawned from a very specific time period.
Dynastic Egypt, as we know it, going back to about 3000 BC, was really a legacy of what I call now an earlier cycle of civilization. As a geologist with a geological eye, this was not weathered by wind and sand. This was not desert erosion and weathering that I saw on the Sphinx, the body of the Sphinx, which is very difficult to tell because it's been heavily repaired and reworked, but particularly on the walls of what are known as the Sphinx enclosure. The Sphinx enclosure is important because it preserves a lot of the details. And if the audience has not been to Egypt, they should realize that when they carved the Sphinx, it's all solid bedrock. Only the head initially was above the ground surface. They carved down into the rock to free up the body, what I call the core body of the Sphinx.
For centuries, the Great Sphinx of Giza has stood as a silent guardian of Egypt's Giza Plateau, watching over the pyramids and the Nile. Its lion's body and human head have inspired myths, legends, and scholarly debate. But beneath its imposing form lies a deeper enigma. What secrets does the Sphinx hold? And who were the architects behind its creation? The rediscovery of the Sphinx happened long after its original construction. For much of its history, it was almost entirely buried under sand, with only its head visible. In 1817, Italian explorer Captain Giovanni Battista Caviglia led an early excavation, clearing some of the sand to reveal more of the body. Yet, there were no signs of entrances or hidden chambers. The major breakthrough came in the 1920s and 1930s, when French Egyptologist Émile Barrès conducted a more systematic excavation, fully exposing the Sphinx's body. Evidence of subterranean passages led to speculation about what lay beneath this ancient monument. Could this be the legendary Hall of Records, a hidden repository of ancient knowledge? In the 1970s and 1980s, modern technology like ground-penetrating radar and seismographs was used by archaeologists such as Dr. Mark Lehner and John Anthony West. Their findings revealed anomalies, hollow spaces beneath the Sphinx, raising new questions. What were these voids for? Were they ritual chambers, tombs, or something more? These discoveries have sparked the imagination of both scholars and the public. Many speculate about ancient knowledge hidden within these tunnels and chambers which remain largely unexplored. The idea of the Hall of Records, a fabled repository of wisdom from a pre-dynastic civilization, persists, though no solid evidence has confirmed its existence. As for the dimensions of these hidden spaces, some tunnels extend nearly 30 meters, with chambers reaching heights of 5 meters. The complexity and scale of these cavities astonish researchers, as their construction would have required precise engineering to avoid damaging the Sphinx above. Could a civilization over 4,000 years ago really have achieved this with primitive tools? One particularly mysterious feature is a metal hatch discovered on the Sphinx's head during a 20th century restoration. While some believe it's a modern addition for maintenance, others suggest more fantastical possibilities. Was this hatch a secret entry to hidden chambers? Could it be a relic of a lost technology designed by the builders for some unknown purpose? The question remains, who built the Sphinx, and how did they achieve such a perfect blend of form and function? The Sphinx is an impressive 240 feet long, 66 feet high, and 62 feet wide. Carved from a single mass of limestone bedrock, its weight is estimated at 200 tons. Its dimensions are comparable to a modern football field, and its height rivals a 6-story building. Given the rudimentary copper tools available to the ancient Egyptians, this achievement seems almost impossible. While scholars attribute the construction of the Sphinx to Pharaoh Khafre around 2500 BCE, some researchers believe it may be much older. Evidence of water erosion suggests the Sphinx may have been exposed to heavy rainfall centuries ago, dating it to as early as 10,000 BCE. This theory challenges conventional timelines, suggesting the Sphinx was built by an even older, lost civilization. Could the Sphinx have been constructed by a forgotten culture, equipped with knowledge and technology far beyond what we attribute to the Egyptians? The discovery of hidden chambers beneath the monument only adds to this speculation. Were these spaces used to store ancient texts, or perhaps to honor deities through ritualistic practices? Yet, as we uncover more about the Sphinx, the techniques used to build it remain just as mysterious. How did these ancient builders move and shape the enormous stone blocks? Theories abound about the construction methods. It is believed that tens of thousands of laborers worked together, using wooden sledges and water-lubricated sand to transport massive stones across the desert. While modern experiments have shown this method is possible, some argue that a lost technology or unknown knowledge must have been involved. More speculative theories propose that the builders might have used advanced tools or sound resonance to manipulate the stone. The deeper we dig into the mysteries of the Sphinx, the more questions we uncover. But one thing is certain. As we continue to explore the hidden chambers beneath the Sphinx, the story of its creation grows ever more fascinating. History, it seems, is never truly set in stone. New discoveries and secrets lie waiting to be uncovered. Perhaps the greatest mystery of all is not what the Sphinx reveals, but what it continues to keep hidden. In the shadow of the Sphinx, we are left wondering, who built this ancient monument and why? How did they achieve such precision, and what was the true purpose of the Sphinx and its surrounding megastructures? The most common theory is that the Sphinx was commissioned by Pharaoh Khafre, who also built the second largest pyramid on the Giza plateau. But some evidence calls this theory into question. Water erosion patterns on the Sphinx's body suggest it could be far older, possibly dating back to 10,000 BCE, when Egypt experienced heavier rainfall. If this is true, it would mean the Sphinx predates the Egyptian civilization by thousands of years, suggesting the existence of a forgotten culture. Could this lost civilization have been responsible for building the Sphinx? And if so, why are there no other traces of their presence? These questions fuel conspiracy theories that continue to captivate the imagination. One theory proposes that the Sphinx was built not as a tomb, but as an astronomical observatory. Its alignment with the constellation Leo during the vernal equinox suggests a connection to the stars, possibly serving as a marker of time or even a communication device with other worlds. Another theory suggests that the Sphinx and pyramids were part of an ancient energy system. Some believe the pyramids were energy generators, with the Sphinx acting as a control mechanism. The alignment of these structures with the Earth's magnetic field, combined with their proximity to the Nile, supports this idea. Though no concrete evidence backs this claim, it remains a compelling alternative explanation for their purpose. But the mysteries don't stop there. What other secrets might be hidden beneath the Sphinx? Beneath the Sphinx, unexplored chambers continue to spark speculation. Could these be the fabled Hall of Records? According to legend, this hidden vault contains the lost wisdom of an ancient civilization, possibly Atlantis. Though no one has conclusively discovered it, the search for the Hall of Records continues to intrigue explorers. And then, there are those who believe the Sphinx's builders had help from beyond this world. Extraterrestrial theories surrounding the Sphinx have persisted for decades. Some claim that the precision and scale of its construction are too advanced for the period, suggesting ancient Egyptians had assistance from extraterrestrial visitors. While this remains in the realm of science fiction, it highlights the fascination the Sphinx holds over the human imagination. Yet, even without the intervention of alien hands, the Sphinx and its surrounding pyramids are marvels of engineering. As we stand before the Sphinx, we are left with more questions than answers. What was its true purpose? Who were its builders? And why does it continue to mystify us after thousands of years? And so, the Great Sphinx of Giza remains, watching over the desert, guarding secrets that may never be fully understood. What lies beneath its pores, in hidden chambers, or in the past still waiting to be uncovered? Only time, and perhaps future discoveries, will reveal the answers. Until then, the Sphinx will keep its secrets, waiting patiently for the day when we are ready to understand what it truly has to tell us.
There's something called the Osiris Shaft.
near the Great Sphinx and pyramids, lies a mysterious structure that may reshape our understanding of ancient Egypt. Known as the Osiris Shaft, this subterranean complex challenges conventional timelines. Could it predate the pyramids? And what was its true purpose? Recent discoveries and a groundbreaking dating method have led Egyptologists to rethink what they thought they knew about this ancient civilization. The Osiris Shaft descends 35 meters into the bedrock beneath the causeway leading to the Sphinx. It comprises multiple levels, with the lowest chamber housing a granite sarcophagus surrounded by water. This chamber is sometimes referred to as the Tomb of Osiris. But what exactly was this structure intended for? Its purpose remains shrouded in mystery, with no clear answers in sight. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Osiris Shaft is the unusual material used in one of the sarcophagi. Egyptologists discovered a stone unlike anything previously found in Egypt. How did it end up here, deep in the bedrock? Even stranger, the structure itself seems to have been designed without easy access in mind. There are no steps or ladders leading down to its depths. The ones installed now were placed there by modern archaeologists, suggesting that the ancient builders had no intention of facilitating frequent visits. The logistics of moving the massive sarcophagi, some weighing up to 40 tons, further deepen the mystery. How were they lowered with such precision into the shaft, which itself was not designed for easy entry or exit? The precision required to lower these gigantic objects without error suggests a technological ability that we do not fully understand. One sarcophagus found on the second level was particularly remarkable. It was covered in a thin film of bitumen, with a metallic coating beneath it. This metal, containing elements like lead and zinc, is puzzling. Why use a metallic coating inside a sarcophagus? Lead, in particular, raises questions, as it is known today for its use in radiation shielding. Could the ancient Egyptians have been aware of this? Moreover, measurements showed unusually high levels of gamma radiation inside the sarcophagus, further hinting at a function beyond burial. The method used to date one of these sarcophagi, called optical thermoluminescence, measures the last time the stone was exposed to light. The results suggested a date as far back as 3,350 BCE, centuries before the accepted construction dates of the pyramids. This implies that the Osiris Shaft could predate the pyramids and the earliest dynasties of Egypt. What's even more curious is the material of one sarcophagus, dacite, an igneous rock not found anywhere in Egypt. In fact, after consulting with geologists, it was confirmed that there are no significant dacite deposits in Africa large enough to produce a sarcophagus of this size. This means the stone was transported from outside the continent, perhaps from Europe or the Black Sea. The logistics of transporting a 40-ton block of stone across seas and deserts remains a mystery. Why didn't the builders use locally sourced granite or basalt, which would have been far easier to acquire? This discovery challenges long-standing views on ancient Egypt's chronology. The dating method used reveals a time well before the pyramids, offering a glimpse into a distant past. Could the Osiris Shaft represent the work of a forgotten civilization, one whose achievements have been lost to time? As we explore the depths of the shaft, more questions emerge. Was the shaft's design deliberate, meant to preserve the dead using unknown methods? Could the high radiation levels within the sarcophagi have played a role in ancient preservation techniques? The builders of this structure may have known things we have yet to uncover. As archaeologists delve deeper into the Osiris Shaft, they challenge established notions of ancient Egypt. On the third and deepest level, a stone island surrounded by water holds yet another granite sarcophagus. This time, the sarcophagus is made of granite, a material more common in Egyptian structures. However, its location deep underground and surrounded by water raises further questions. This sarcophagus dates to around 2370 BCE, placing it in the Old or Middle Kingdom. Interestingly, the design of the third level seems to be a later addition to the shaft, suggesting the site may have been used and modified over centuries. If true, this means the Osiris shaft was considered important long before the time of the pyramids. One of the most intriguing features of the third level is the water system. A meticulously shaped canal surrounds the chamber, and the water level appears to be maintained at a precise depth. How did the builders engineer such a system over 100 feet underground? The bedrock in this area is solid, making natural water leaks unlikely. This suggests that the builders tapped into a hidden water source, possibly through an underground channel or spring. At the Osirian, another ancient Egyptian site, similar subterranean water channels have been discovered, indicating that the ancient builders had advanced knowledge of hydroengineering. Water was often seen as a source of life and regeneration, and its presence in the Osiris shaft may have had symbolic significance in ancient rituals related to death and rebirth. This brings us to the connection between the shaft and Osiris, the Egyptian god of the dead and the underworld. According to myth, Osiris was resurrected in a sarcophagus placed on an island surrounded by water. The third level of the shaft closely mirrors this imagery. Could the builders have been trying to replicate the tomb of Osiris? Or was this part of a deeper religious practice? Oddly, the sarcophagi found in the Osiris shaft are devoid of inscriptions, which is unusual for ancient Egyptian tombs. This absence of hieroglyphs has led some scholars to suggest that these sarcophagi were not intended for traditional burials, but served a different, perhaps secretive, purpose. Adding to the mystery, researchers detected significant levels of radiation inside the sarcophagi. Combined with the lead coating found on the second level, this suggests that the sarcophagi might have had an advanced preservative function, something we do not yet fully understand. If the ancient Egyptians had knowledge of radiation's effects on preservation, it would represent a technological leap far beyond what we currently attribute to their civilization. Beyond the physical mysteries, the Osiris shaft raises important questions about the origins of Egyptian civilization. The dating of the second-level sarcophagus to as early as 3350 BCE points to a pre-dynastic origin, making the shaft one of the oldest structures in Egypt. As we continue to investigate the Osiris shaft, the possibility of discovering hidden chambers, artifacts, or tunnels remains high. The Osiris shaft is rewriting our understanding of ancient Egypt and perhaps even pointing to a forgotten chapter in human history. One of ancient Egypt's most puzzling enigmas. Enormous granite boxes, often considered to be sarcophagi. These immense boxes, carved from single blocks of granite with an astonishing level of precision, continue to baffle archaeologists, engineers, and historians. How did the ancient Egyptians craft these structures with such detail and accuracy, sparking ongoing debates about their origins. These boxes are far from ordinary stone coffins. Each is crafted from a single block of granite, known for its extreme hardness and difficulty to work with. Some of these boxes, complete with their lids, weigh as much as 70 tons, while the raw blocks they were carved from likely weighed over 200 tons. What's truly remarkable is the precision of the craftsmanship. The corners are perfectly squared, and the surfaces are so smooth they seem to rival modern machinery in accuracy. Achieving this level of exactness, especially millennia ago, raises the question: did the ancient Egyptians possess technology beyond what we've ever imagined? The interior of these boxes is equally awe-inspiring. While the smooth exteriors are impressive enough, the flawless precision on the inside seems even more impossible. How did they hollow out these massive granite blocks with such accuracy, given the tools thought to be available at the time? Copper tools, often credited to the Egyptians, would have been insufficient for the task, and the uniform thickness of the walls suggests the use of sophisticated measurement techniques far ahead of their time. Such uniformity in these boxes is unparalleled in other Egyptian artifacts, leading to more questions. Hollowing out these granite blocks would have required not just immense labor, but an advanced understanding of stone-cutting techniques that we still don't fully comprehend. Conventional explanations, primarily focusing on copper tools, fall short when compared to the remarkable precision of these boxes. How then did the Egyptians achieve this level of perfection? Some theories propose that the builders had access to lost technology, perhaps advanced tools or machinery, now forgotten in the annals of history. Researchers speculate about high-speed drills, diamond-tipped saws, or other sophisticated equipment. The notion of advanced technology in ancient Egypt is controversial, yet the evidence presented by these granite boxes continues to fuel this debate. Adding to the mystery is the question of purpose. While traditionally believed to be sarcophagi for the sacred Apis bulls, the excessive craftsmanship for mere burials raises doubts. Could these boxes have served a more complex function, perhaps related to energy manipulation or another unknown scientific process? This question remains unanswered and continues to intrigue modern researchers. Even transporting these massive boxes presents an engineering challenge. The narrow and winding underground tunnels of the Serapeum would have made moving the 70-ton boxes an extraordinary feat, requiring advanced knowledge of engineering or transportation. Additionally, there are no visible signs of torches or burn marks in the tunnels. How did they light these spaces while moving such colossal objects? Despite the many mysteries, mainstream archaeologists attribute the precision and craftsmanship of the Serapeum boxes to the skill and patience of ancient Egyptian stoneworkers. They argue that, over generations, the Egyptians perfected their techniques, achieving incredible accuracy through dedication rather than technology. Critics of the advanced technology theory maintain that there is no concrete evidence supporting the existence of machines or sophisticated tools during the time these boxes were created. Yet, as more of these boxes are discovered throughout Egypt, the questions multiply. Across the country, similar examples of giant granite boxes exist, each demonstrating the same level of craftsmanship and precision. This suggests the possibility of a forgotten technology, one far beyond what is traditionally accepted in the study of ancient Egypt. One example, found in the Cairo Museum, displays an irregular slanted cut that was likely abandoned due to an error in the process. But this mistake tells more than expected. It reveals the possibility of a highly advanced cutting method. The cut extends deep into the granite, an impossible feat with traditional copper chisels or saws. The precision hints at the use of circular saws or similar tools capable of cutting through granite with speed and accuracy. Traditional theories suggest that the Egyptians used slow copper-based saws to cut granite. However, modern attempts to replicate this technique resulted in an excruciatingly slow cutting rate of only 4 millimeters per hour. At such a pace, it's implausible that ancient artisans wouldn't have corrected the significant deviation seen in the error. The precision of the cut suggests the use of advanced machinery far beyond what is typically attributed to ancient Egypt. Similar saw marks have been observed on other granite boxes, some of which are also displayed at the Cairo Museum. These marks resemble those made by modern band saws, but appear to indicate an even higher operational speed. Contemporary granite cutting saws rely on diamond-encrusted blades, technology believed to be far out of reach for the ancient Egyptians. Yet the marks persist, challenging our understanding of the tools available in that era. Adding to the intrigue are the perfectly round tube drill holes found in various granite artifacts throughout Egypt. The depth and uniformity of these holes suggest the use of advanced drills, possibly equipped with diamond-tipped tools. One of the most striking examples is Core 7, a cylindrical piece of granite discovered near the Great Pyramids. The continuous spiral groove on Core 7 resembles the groove of a vinyl record. In fact, modern machinery that could produce such a result would require high-speed rotation and diamond-tipped tools, technologies not associated with ancient Egypt. Core 7's spiral grooves suggest a force and precision greater than modern power drills, raising the question of whether the Egyptians, or a lost civilization, had access to technology now lost to history. Across Egypt, the evidence of these granite boxes continues to challenge mainstream views. Could these artifacts have been created by a lost civilization with advanced technology? Or are we simply missing a piece of the puzzle regarding how the Egyptians worked with stone? The precision, craftsmanship, and technology evident in these objects suggest that they were made with methods we don't yet understand. The most extraordinary example of precision stonework may be the granite box discovered beneath the pyramid at Lahun. Within a polished granite chamber lies a tilted box with 4 corners so perfectly aligned that modern measurement tools reveal almost no discrepancy. Another similar box was found at Mastaba 17, buried beneath a pile of mud bricks. Both examples display precision that raises questions about their origin and purpose. Could these boxes have been repurposed by the Egyptians, who may have inherited them from a lost civilization? The mystery of these granite boxes remains unsolved. Could they represent the remnants of a prehistoric civilization with knowledge far beyond our current understanding? Perhaps this explains why these objects were later used by the Egyptians for seemingly simple purposes like sarcophagi, because they, like us today, did not fully understand their true purpose. Imagine a world where time itself is a malleable force, where the boundary between life and death blurs, and immortality is no longer a dream, but a carefully guarded secret. This is the legend of Thoth, the mysterious god of wisdom from ancient Egypt. He is said to have discovered the key to eternal life, not through mysticism, but through methods that defy modern understanding. Could the ancient Egyptians have had access to technologies beyond our grasp? Or is there something deeper hidden in the sands of time? our journey begins at the Serapeum of Saqqara, an ancient site where massive stone boxes weighing over 70 tons were carved with such precision that even modern engineers are baffled. These boxes, made from solid diorite, one of the hardest stones in the world, seem impossible to have been created with the tools of the ancient world. But what if these were not merely tombs for the dead? What if they were advanced technologies, allowing beings like Thoth to rejuvenate and transfer their consciousness into new bodies, effectively cheating death? Legend tells us that Thoth would leave his body in one of these boxes for 100 years, allowing it to recharge and heal while his essence continued in another form. Could this explain why Thoth, the god of knowledge, was so revered across cultures and millennia? If these rejuvenation chambers are real, could they hold the secrets to eternal life? And was Thoth's quest for immortality unique, or did others throughout history share this secret? To find more answers, we turn to Mesopotamia, where the Sumerian kings list records the reigns of rulers who lived for tens of thousands of years. Among them were the Anunnaki, demigods with both divine and earthly attributes. Some reigned for 28,000 years, others for 14,000 years, lifespans that defy all reason. What could possibly explain these impossibly long reigns? Did these rulers possess knowledge that could extend their lives, similar to Thoth? Or was their understanding of life and genetic engineering even more advanced? The mystery deepens when we examine the Great Flood, a cataclysmic event mentioned in both Sumerian and biblical texts. This disaster marked the end of the antediluvian kings who ruled before the flood. Afterward, kingship was reintroduced, but the reigns were far shorter. Some rulers lived for hundreds of years, but the era of reigns stretching tens of thousands of years was over. Why did this change occur? Could it be that the Anunnaki, who once ruled humanity, decided to limit the power of their successors? The texts suggest that these new rulers were still connected to the divine, but they were no longer immortal. Could the Great Flood have been a deliberate reset of human civilization to control human potential, preventing any individual from becoming too powerful? This leads us to an intriguing connection between ancient myth and modern science, genetic engineering. We know today that the human genome contains a unique anomaly, chromosome number 2, which appears to have been artificially fused. Geneticists estimate that this fusion occurred around 200,000 years ago, a timeline that aligns with the Sumerian accounts of the Anunnaki creating humans. Could this be evidence of genetic modification? Were humans deliberately created to serve the Anunnaki, not just as laborers but as subordinates? Could our very lifespan, about 120 years, have been engineered as a form of control? Modern science also tells us that telomeres, the protective caps at the ends of our chromosomes, limit how many times a cell can divide. Once they degrade, we age and eventually die. In the Bible, it states that man's days shall be 120 years. Could this be a reflection of deliberate genetic tampering by the gods? Was humanity created with a built-in expiration date, ensuring we never lived long enough to rediscover the ancient knowledge of our creators? One of the most compelling stories supporting this theory is the Tower of Babel. Humans, united in their ambition, began constructing a tower to reach the heavens. Their goal was to reclaim the lost knowledge of the gods. But their efforts were stopped by Yahweh, also known as Enlil in Sumerian texts, who feared humanity was advancing too quickly. Enlil intervened, confusing their languages and scattering them across the earth. More importantly, he shortened human lifespans, ensuring no single generation would live long enough to challenge the gods again. Could the Tower of Babel have been more than just a symbol of human pride? Was it an effort to reclaim our lost potential, one that was deliberately suppressed by the gods? Could it be that our entire history has been shaped by a hidden agenda, a grand design orchestrated by beings like the Anunnaki? Have these forces deliberately limited human development to prevent us from reaching our full potential? Are our lifespans, societal divisions, and languages all part of a long-term plan to keep humanity from rediscovering its ancient knowledge? As we piece together this ancient puzzle, we are left with unsettling questions. Were we created with limitations deliberately set to keep us subservient? Could it be that the division of cultures and the loss of ancient knowledge were part of a grand design to control human progress? Or is there a forgotten history, a legacy waiting to be rediscovered, that could unlock the mysteries of our origins, and perhaps our future? But what if these stories are not just myths? What if they are fragments of a larger puzzle, a puzzle that could offer profound insight into the hidden history of human existence? Let's return to the idea of genetic manipulation. Modern science has uncovered a unique anomaly in the human genome, chromosome 2, fused in a way that no other species on Earth exhibits. This genetic event is believed to have occurred around 200,000 years ago, a timeline eerily close to the Sumerian accounts of the Anunnaki creating humans for labor. If this fusion was deliberate, what does it mean for humanity? Could we have been engineered to serve the needs of an advanced race wielding power beyond our understanding? Here's the real question. Could we still be under this influence today? As we unlock the mysteries of the human genome, are we on the verge of rediscovering the knowledge hidden from us for thousands of years? Could telomeres, once thought to be a natural limitation, hold the key to extending life far beyond what we've believed is possible? And if so, are there still forces at play, preventing humanity from rising to its full potential? The truth may be hidden in ancient texts, unexplored history, or perhaps even encoded within our DNA. As we continue to explore these mysteries, the lines between myth, science, and reality will blur. The question remains, are we ready to discover the truth?
Beneath the sands of Egypt, beyond the iconic pyramids, lies a temple holding secrets that could rewrite history. Welcome to Dendera. Sanctuary of Hathor, goddess of love and vengeance. Joy and fury, music and destruction. How could one deity embody such extremes? What sacred rituals unfolded within Dendera's hidden chambers? And what can this enigma reveal about the ancient Egyptian worldview? For millennia, these mysteries lay buried beneath the desert. Now we'll journey deep into Dendera's heart, deciphering cryptic messages unseen for thousands of years. We'll explore a world where myths came alive and the boundary between earth and sky blurred. The ancient Egyptians gazed at our same stars, yet saw a profoundly different cosmos. Join us as we unlock the secrets of Dendera and its captivating goddess, forever transforming our understanding of one of history's most enduring civilizations.
Imagine if fragments of secret knowledge from ancient civilizations had survived through time, reaching us only in cryptic symbols, symbols that were indecipherable to all but a select few. Such hidden knowledge would be expressed in a language accessible only to initiates, guarding its deeper meaning from the masses. In southern Egypt, within the Temple of Hathor in Dendera, lies artwork that has intrigued researchers for generations. At first glance, the carvings seem like nothing more than ornate art objects, but when viewed together, in a specific arrangement, they provoke a profound question. Could this be an encoded representation of advanced technology? The artwork in question is carved on the panels inside the temple, hidden within its underground crypts, places not meant for the eyes of casual visitors. This has led some to believe that the carvings might represent secret knowledge, deliberately stylized to obscure their true meaning. Much like Francis Bacon's method of steganography, where a message is hidden within another message or object, these artistic depictions may conceal a deeper truth. Could the symbols be an encrypted representation of ancient technology, with connectors, coils, and electrical components disguised as sacred motifs? The most striking image found inside the temple is one that appears repeatedly across 6 panels, a large bulb-like object emerging from a lotus flower at the base. Below the bulb are human figures. One of them appears connected to the object, while others stand with open arms facing a serpent-like figure. There is also a figure with a tail and 2 knives, commonly interpreted as the god Thoth. Below the entire scene stands the Jed pillar, often described as the backbone of Osiris, with the bulb interpreted by Egyptologists as a representation of the placenta, inside of which coils the snake. This imagery has come to be known as the Dendera light, and some researchers believe it could represent something much more than spiritual symbolism, perhaps an ancient form of technology. The stylized motifs resemble elements of modern electrical apparatuses, such as frequency transformers, with the Jed pillar mirroring the structure of modern radio frequency transformers. Could the Jed actually be a piece of operational equipment disguised as a religious symbol? Consider the possibility. Ancient priests, unfamiliar with modern electrical devices, might have described these objects in terms familiar to them, such as the backbone of a god. Supporting this theory is the legend that the goddess Hathor, to whom the temple is dedicated, was said to have used certain objects to heal people. This brings us to one of the first high-frequency transformers in modern history, the Udin coil, a device related to the more famous Tesla coil. When connected to handheld electrodes, this coil was used in early medical treatments to apply high voltage to the patient's body. A dramatic violet glow would appear when the electrode was energized, similar to what one might imagine from the glowing bulb depicted in the Dendera relief. The technology of high-voltage medical devices, like the vacuum tube electrode, bears striking resemblance to the artistic representation in the temple. Could it be that the Jed pillar functioned as a high-frequency transformer, and the bulbs as primitive electric lamps or even X-ray tubes? The similarities between the Crookes tube, a device used in early X-ray machines, and the Dendera bulb are too striking to ignore. The Crookes tube, developed in the late 19th century, created a glowing effect when powered by high voltage. If we overlay the design of the Crookes tube with the Dendera images, the match is almost perfect, not just in appearance, but in function. The placement of the anode in the Crookes tube is identical to the Jed pillar in the artwork. Is it possible that the ancient Egyptians possessed knowledge of electromagnetic phenomena long before modern science uncovered it? The notion that ancient Egyptians may have been familiar with advanced technology seems outlandish to many. But consider this: the first high-frequency transformers and radio frequency technology were not invented until the early 20th century. Yet the resemblance between these devices and the Dendera reliefs is striking. When Auguste Mariette published his fundamental work on the Temple of Dendera in the late 19th century, Thomas Edison had not yet invented the incandescent light bulb. It wasn't until Sir William Crookes, with his famous Crookes tubes, began experimenting with radiant matter and high voltage that the concept of X-rays and plasma became a reality. Crookes's experiments with vacuum tubes were groundbreaking, allowing Röntgen to discover X-rays in 1895. When these early X-ray machines are compared to the Dendera imagery, the structural similarities are difficult to dismiss. Even the floral design in the artwork mirrors the part of the Crookes tube where the electrical connections would be made. Some researchers, such as Italian inventor and engineer Dr. Clarbruno Verduccio, argue that the similarity between the Crookes tubes and the Dendera artwork is far too precise to be coincidence. A similar approach is seen in an issue of Scientific American, which published a diagram for amateur scientists showing how to build a small high-voltage generator to create plasma discharge in a lamp tube, essentially a DIY X-ray generator. The design in the magazine and the one depicted in Dendera align almost perfectly. This plasma discharge could pass through materials, much like modern X-rays. Could the ancient Egyptians have harnessed a similar technology, using it to generate light or explore materials? On another panel in Dendera, we see an object with what appears to be lines extending from it, often referred to as a necklace, but possibly an artistic rendering of electrical wires. The spheres on the lines could well be insulators, similar to those used in modern electrical equipment. This type of insulator was used in appliances until the late 20th century to manage high voltages and temperatures. The object in the relief seems to be connected to a battery-like device, similar to early electrical circuits used in combustion engines. Could the ancient Egyptians have developed an electric pulse generator hidden in plain sight through the language of symbolism? One of the most famous examples of ancient electricity is the Baghdad battery, a device capable of producing small amounts of electrical current when filled with vinegar. This shows that ancient cultures had at least a basic understanding of electricity. On one of the Dendera panels, there is a depiction of what appears to be a voltaic pile, similar to the first electrical battery created by physicist Alessandro Volta in 1794. Was this technology used to manipulate materials or to activate the glowing properties of gems, as suggested in some ancient legends? One of the most intriguing possibilities is that the high priest's breastplate, mentioned in biblical texts, glowed with radiant light to communicate divine messages. The mystery of Dendera only deepens as we explore these possibilities. If such advanced technology existed in ancient Egypt, it's likely that much of it was lost, either destroyed or looted by invading cultures. Copper coils and precious metals from such devices would have been valuable commodities, likely scavenged and repurposed. Yet, the artwork remains, a time capsule etched in stone, hinting at a lost era of technological prowess far ahead of its time. If you liked this video, then you'll like our next adventure over in Turkey. Ever heard of a place older than Stonehenge? Göbekli Tepe is a mind-boggling puzzle of massive stone pillars and intricate carvings, built before the wheel even existed. Who were these ancient architects? And what secrets do these stones hold? Let's dive into this prehistoric mystery together.
It was the consensus of archaeologists that megalithic architecture was beyond the capacities of hunter-gatherers and required the presence of long-term, settled agricultural communities to evolve. No megalithic architecture had been found anywhere in the world that was more than 6,000 years old. In fact, that was one of the main arguments that the archaeological police used to try to dismiss John West and Robert Schoch. They said, show us another culture that's 12,000 years old anywhere in the world, and we might listen to you. But we know that there is no culture capable of creating anything like the Sphinx until 4,500 years ago. That changed completely with Göbekli Tepe, which is a deliberately buried site, deliberately buried 11,600 years ago, and thus sealed, and thus an intact archaeological scene. And the evidence from Göbekli Tepe is that this site is 11,600 years old. It dates to the end of a period called the Younger Dryas. My goodness, if you're capable of creating these 20-ton megalithic pillars and this huge site, then you're certainly capable of creating the Great Sphinx.